Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And yes, we are getting right on back to our Social Security slash Supplemental Security Income series. We're going to be covering today specifically continuing disability reviews. But before we do, brief disclaimer and trigger warnings. So, listen up, individuals. If you've never been on this channel before and clicked on this due to a hashtag, if you want to know the source of where I receive my information, every single thing that we go over on this channel regards to Social Security or Supplemental Security income throughout the duration of this series, you're going to find right there in the description box with corresponding labels and links. That way, if you would like to go again and do a deep dive on the subject, you're absolutely able to do so. Trigger warnings. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity and we do cover some dark topics like the Judge Rothberg Educational Center, for example. So if your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. Political trigger warning. If you are gung-ho for one party or the other, please be advised that I am not. And quite frankly, a good majority of the time, both sides tend to not care about us unless it's election season, in which case we are given the bare minimum of lip service, maybe one small change, and then we are abandoned again until they can use us again for the next cycle. Which means, folks, more than likely, if you're gung-ho MAGA or gung-ho leftist, I am probably going to say something throughout the duration of one of the mini-series we are currently juggling on this channel that is probably going to offend you. If you cannot engage in the comment section with proper decorum, if you are unable to resist going in for personal attacks and using insults like we are all stuck in high school forever, this is probably not the channel for you. That being said, I do still stand by my sources, so please feel free to go ahead and check out the comment section. We are a channel that embraces debates that happen in good faith. We are not a channel that accepts personal attacks, snide little comments in regards to but your family. We do not accept any level of essentially breaking down into infantile behavior. We cover adult topics. I expect the individuals in the comment section to act like adults. If you are unable to do so, you will find yourself and your comments removed from the comment section. This is the only warning you are going to receive on the matter. And folks, I may be autistic, and I don't toot my own horn a whole lot, but I'm very smart. You're not going to sneak anything past me. Do not underestimate me, okay? Nobody's got time for everyone to continue this high school stupidity that has taken over politics for over the last few years. I'm here to report facts. You want to debate the facts in good faith? Perfect. If you do not want to do that, please find other channels. There are a lot of places that you can go that invite that kind of behavior. Just saying. Alright. Now that we've gone over that, continuing disability reviews. So what is that? Social Security periodically reviews your medical impairments to determine if you continue to have a disabling condition. If we determine that you are no longer disabled or blind, your benefits will stop. So remember when I was kind of telling you guys just kind of how depressing it could be back when I was on SSI and I had to come in to do those reviews? I had to pretty much make myself be as pathetic as humanly possible. I had to lean in hard on some of my worst traits, play up just how bad some of the meltdowns can get. I had to play up any social issues. I had to make myself look as incapable as humanly possible if I was going to continue to retain my benefits. One of the main reasons why my major goal throughout the entirety of my time in assisted living was to get myself out of there and into a full-time job so that I no longer had to do that sort of thing. Because to be perfectly honest, it can be depressing. You can't really show in any way, shape, or form that you have grown in any way. Because if you do, you will have your supports yanked out from underneath you. Because we are dealing with individuals who seem to not understand that the reason why some of us start growing and doing better is because we do have those supports. Without those supports, let's just say things did not go well. At all. At all. It took a lot of years and a lot of very hard learned lessons and a whole lot of people who are willing to support me in getting back up and back on my feet and back into proper services again to start getting me to where I am now. But I'd like to mention that because it is depressing. I know why they do it. It's just the understanding of what disability is, the understanding of that in spite of being disabled, there are going to be areas where you should be able to be allowed to grow. You should be able to start things like savings accounts so that later on, if you ever are at a point where you don't need it anymore, you can be prepared instead of abruptly brushed off. And yeah, only being a workaholic willing to work 15-hour shifts back to back was the thing that saved me during the time period where they yanked all my benefits out from under me. Let's just put it that way. But let me go ahead and continue. We call this review a Continuing Disability Review, or CDR. The law requires us to perform a medical CDR at least once every 3 years. If, however, you have a medical condition that is not expected to improve, we will still review your case once every 5 to 7 years. So, this is why we have such things as my Accordo file that has become a habit. It literally has to do with specifically that, keeping all my medical records, all my bills and receipts, everything that has to do with doctor's visits, prescriptions, literally everything goes into the Accordo file because I would have to go in and do these reviews, and they require a lot of that paperwork for you to be able to bring it with you and show it and prove it to them. And then it just became a habit a good one too, because it's helped once I began re-establishing services again. But yeah, that's why I do that, because they do have that review. And yes, even though technically we all know that if you're autistic, it doesn't go away the way we know disability works and how the government views disability, you'll find is two very distinct separate things. So there are a lot of hoops to not just get benefits, but continue to retain and receive them. So again, any individual want to come in here and tell me just how easy it is to be a fraudster with Social Security again, please go on. And please put into detail as to how these fraudsters have managed to accomplish that. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying that's a whole hell of a lot of work to get a very small amount of money each month. The individuals who are on it because they don't have any other choice. Okay, they're on a fixed income because they need to be. Okay? It's very difficult to fake your way in. Let's just put it that way. Let me go ahead and continue. We will reach out to you to obtain updated information about your condition using the SSA 454 Continuing Disability Review Report or the SSA 455, the Disability Update Report form. Those who receive the SSA 455 now have the option to complete the Disability Update Report SSA 455 form online. Now, as we know, due to cuts, that's not going to work too well for our elderly folks who are on Social Security. And we've gone over the reasons in regards to why. But before we get finished up with this video, I am going to pull it up for you so I can show you exactly what that form is like and what information it requires that you have to bring with you, so you can realize just how not easy it is to be trying to fool these people. Okay, let me go ahead and read this blue line here, because this was exactly what I was just talking about when I brought up my Accorda file. During the CDR, we will also review your income, resources, and living arrangements to ensure that you continue to meet the non-medical program requirements. We call this periodic review a redetermination. For information on SSI redeterminations, we did already go over that. So we covered that area. Now, we are going to be covering what that looks like for a child, just because I like to be thorough. So, how do we conduct continuing disability reviews for a child? For a child, SSA initiates a CDR at least once every 3 years if we expect the child's medical condition may improve. So, in other words, if it's not something that's lifelong, a developmental disability, if it's something that perhaps they may be able to recover from, along the lines of things like childhood cancer, for example, that sort of thing, that's kind of what they're referring to there. We may also initiate a CDR if we do not expect the child's condition to improve, to get an idea of the timeline. It's dark, but I know why they do it. If we decide the child was disabled based on low birth rate, we will generally initiate a CDR by age 1. However, if we initially decide that the medical improvement in the child's medical conditions is unlikely to occur by age 1, we will schedule the child's CDR after age 1. During the CDR, we may ask the child's representative payee to provide evidence that the child is and has been continuing treatment that is medically necessary and appropriate for their medical condition. Again, that is going to include paperwork, folks, medical information. Again, why I have the ACODA file, because I would, at every single renewal, have to drag out my medical history to go under perusal once more. Even though I know they had photocopies of it, they would photocopy the exact same thing every time I had to do a redetermination or to go through a review. If the child's representative payee refuses to provide the necessary evidence without good cause, we may look for another representative payee. We may also decide to pay the child directly if he or she is old enough to receive their own benefits. So we're talking about kids who may be about around the 16, 17 era, especially if they get kind of shady feelings from the parents and maybe feel like that the money is not being used for the minor in the way that it should be. What happens to my childhood disability at age 18? If you are eligible for disability benefits as a child 2 months prior to attaining age 18, we will review your case. During this review, we will determine if your current medical conditions meet the disability requirements as an adult. When we initiate the medical redetermination, we will use the adult criteria to determine if you're eligible for disability benefits. We will use the same criteria for adults who file new SSI applications. So, obviously you can see all of what they're saying right there. We'll go over work incentives on this next upcoming Thursday. But for now, I think that covers it and going over the CDR. So we're going to go ahead and close out for the evening. Now, folks, we don't get very many reviews on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and of course, folks, please don't forget to hit the comments. But if you're going to hit the comments, just be adults, alright? That's all I ask. Just be adults. Don't be weird with personal attacks. Nobody has time for that these days, alright? As always, folks, I do appreciate your time. Now, make sure you are still subscribed and you still have notifications on, because as we go through each series, I want you to be able to get those alerts. As you know, tomorrow being Friday, we are going to be doing another video on the Down the Rabbit Hole series in regards to the anti-vax movement, its history, its reemergence, and exactly why it has so many people concerned in regards to the danger it represents. Saturday, as you all know, we'll be continuing on with the Medicaid series, and Sundays are set aside for Section 8, so please keep your eyeballs out. And of course, every day, every single day, until the Judge Roteberg Educational Center has gone the way of the dodo, we will continue to report on the JRC and what is going on there with the abuse that they rain down on disabled people until they no longer have a school. Alright, folks, I appreciate your time, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.